business process event. My name is Janvi Anturkar. I'm a Microsoft technical trainer with worldwide learning team in Microsoft. I've been working in IT industry for 20 years and working with Microsoft for 8 years now. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer for past 3 years. I have helped customers automate business processes using Power Platform in my earlier role. And today we are going to learn how we can automate business processes with Power Automate. So, in this event, we will cover 4 modules, starting with Module 1, which is Introduction to Microsoft Power Automate and AI Builder. We will then move on to Module 2, Introduction to Business Process Flows with Microsoft Power Automate. In Module 3, we will cover getting started with AI Builder, and finally, we wrap up with Module 4, automate processes with robotic process automation and Power Automate Desktop. So let's get started with our learning. All right, let's get started with our first module, Introduction to Microsoft Power Automate and AI Builder. So we'll start with learning about Power Automate and AI Builder. We'll see how we can use it and what are the differences in these tools. So first of all, let's talk about Power Automate. Power Automate, it is an online workflow service that automates actions across the most common apps and services. For example, you can create a flow that adds a lead to Microsoft Dynamics 365 and record it into MailChimp whenever someone with more than 100 followers tweets about your company. So when you sign up, you can connect to services and then you can manage the data either in the cloud or in your on-premises sources. Like you could have SharePoint, you could have Microsoft SQL Server, and the list of applications you can use with Power Automate grows constantly. So you have got lots of different applications that you can connect with through this Power Automate. So Power Automate, it brings intelligent automation for all to drive efficiencies across organizations. So it combines robotic process automation, digital process automation, and also artificial intelligence to solve simple to complex needs there. And it makes it really easy for you. You don't have to write any code behind the scene here, or everything is done for you. All you are doing is doing through the UI, which makes it really simple, even if you do not know how to write the code. So in this module, we'll focus on the API automation with flows and connectors. So flows are built on the Azure Logic Apps platform, but packaged in a citizen developer experience and SaaS business model. So Power Automate, it focuses on automation across applications, while Logic App, it's better suited for integration between databases and web services. But both, they offer high performance, high availability workloads, and when you create a flow, it's created for you, or you can share with other people in your organization. And to create your flow, there's an easy drag and drop interface with dynamic values from your previous steps. So you can also add custom expressions as well if you need to do so. So with the digital process automation capabilities of Power Automate, you can connect to over 400 APIs using hundreds of triggers to automate thousands of actions. You can create very advanced custom scenarios to start from multitude of curated templates in only few clicks here. So you can automate tasks across Microsoft first party products, and also there are a lot of third party products. So you have got Adobe and you have got Zendesk, and there's so many other third party products available which you can connect to. So we have got these different connectors. You will have triggers with each connectors, and then they'll have actions. And you could also make use of pre-built templates, which will have all the actions, the triggers and the actions set up already. So all you have to do is pick up the trigger, make the connection, and then your flow will be ready. So what can you do with this Power Automate? So you can use Power Automate to automate workflows between your favorite applications and services. You can use it to, let's say, sync files, get notification, collect some kind of data, and much more. So, for example, you can instantly respond to high priority notifications or emails if you like, or capture and track and follow up with your new sales lead, or copy all the email attachment to say OneDrive for business account, or maybe collect data about your business and then share that information with your team. You could also automate approval workflows, and we need approvals in so many different places. So you could make use of these approvals to automate these approval workflows. A common use of Power Automate is to receive notifications. For example, you can instantly receive an email or a push notification on your phone whenever a sales lead is added to Dynamics 365 or Salesforce. So consider a scenario where maybe you're running a big project, and for different streams in the project, there is a different statement of work which need to be approved by a few people. Now, doing this manually is going to be time consuming. It's going to take time. You have to do follow ups and all those things. So, you could automate this process with the flow. So, whenever someone uploads a new statement of work to, let's say, SharePoint, you can start an approval process. Or if you receive the statement of work in an email, you can copy it to SharePoint and then start an approval process. So, you could automate all sorts of business processes with Power Automate. So where can we create this and how can we administer this flow? So you can create flow and you can perform administrative tasks for this flow in browser. So you don't have to have any specific tool. If you do want to have a tool, we do have Power Automate Desktop, which we'll talk about in module 4, but otherwise you are doing everything in the browser. So there are some tasks that you can perform with your mobile apps as well, like you can turn on and off your flows from your mobile, and you can check if your flow is failed, why it failed. You can also review the history if you want from your mobile application. So you have got your browser where you can do everything, and you also have got this mobile application. And this mobile application is really useful if you're on the move. So when I was a field engineer back in the days, I used to use this mobile app to start and stop my mileage tracking flow, and it would record my location and then store it in an Excel file, and that helped me keep the track of the distance I've traveled to go to a customer location. So you could use the mobile application in different ways there. So here, for example, we have got this flow, which is a purchase order approval flow. Now, in this flow, what we have is there's a Power Apps, which is our trigger, and then we are getting the manager's name, and we want to get approval from the manager, and then we have got this approval process. So you can start for the approval and then wait until you get the approval, and then after that, if you want to perform any other actions, you could do that as well. So the user starts the process by going to the Power Apps and then creating the purchase order request. And once they submit the request, the information is sent to Power Automate flow, and then the approval process starts from there. Now the flow, it can be built to evaluate the request and then route the request based on criteria such as maybe submitting user, request amount, and the first action could be to send the request to user's manager. And the manager could be automatically retrieved from Azure AD because you have that information in Azure AD. And that's going to avoid prompting for duplicate information and things there. So that's how simple it is to create a workflow. And next we want to look at AI Builder. So like Power Automate, AI Builder is built on Azure Cloud, but it is packaged for citizen developers. So you do not need an Azure Cognitive Service subscription or a data scientist to use AI Builder. Everything is handled directly from the Power Platform itself. AI Builder, it allows you to build, train, and deploy AI models that can work with documents, images, text, and machine learning that you can easily put in any automation or application there. Now let's look at how we can create the Power Automate workflows. Now before we talk about creating, we need to understand some key concepts in the Power Automate. So flows, they are actually really simple to conceptualize. So something has to happen when a series of actions can be performed. So there is a starting action. For example, when a new email arrives, that's your trigger. Now a starting point for your workflow. Then a series of actions will take place. For example, maybe you want to move the attachment to OneDrive, you want to notify a user, or you want to create an approval process. So, as the trigger happens, you want to perform certain actions. So, you will always have one trigger, which is the starting point for your flow. And then after that, you will have one or more actions. Again, depends on what your business process is, what you're trying to achieve. You will have more actions in there. Now there are different capabilities in Flow. Your trigger can be automated trigger, like if something happens, I want to do this. So that's your automated trigger. You can also set it on a timer, like if you want to run it every 30 days or send a monthly report or something like that. So you can create the schedule and then you can set it up on that timer. It can even be an instant flow, which means that you are going to trigger it manually. So you click on it and then it starts, or maybe you want to start it from your mobile. You can also have notifications with this, and you can also set up your approval. So all these things are possible through this flow. So here we have got this next example where we have got this purchase order approval. So this is one of the common use cases of your flows, which is approvals. So instead of sending an email to your manager each time I need her approval, I'm going to automate that process and save us both time. So I'm just going to create an approval in the flow, and then it sends an email automatically. Manager knows what to look for because I have added everything in that flow there. And then once she approves or rejects, then I know what is to be done. So all that I have included in my flow in here. Let's take a brief tour of Power Automate and see how we can look at all these things. So to go to Power Automate, what we want to do is we want to go here to flow.microsoft.com. So I'm just going to zoom in to show you what it is. So this is the URL that you want to go to. If not, you can also go from here. So this is my office portal, and in my office portal, I have got this all apps. So I can go to all apps and then I can click on Power Automate. That will also bring me to my flow here. So Power Automate here. Now here we can see in the menu we have got actions. So action items. So this is where you go to manage your approvals and your business process flows. So I can go to the approvals, and if I have got any approvals, then I can accept or reject from here, and I can also see the history of my approvals if I want. And then I have got this option to create, where I can start creating new flows, and here I have got options to start automated flows or maybe schedule flow or desktop flow. And here I can see there are different templates, so I can also make use of these templates, or I can go to the templates directly, and then I can see lots and lots of templates available here. I can search through the template, I can look for specific things if I want. And then I have got these connectors. So this is where you can connect from one service provider to another. So you can pick up your connectors that you want to connect to, and here you can see my recently added connectors and everything. So I've got all the connectors. I can search for my connectors as well if I am looking for something specific. And then we have got the data. So here we have got data where you can access your entities or your connections or custom connectors and your gateways. And then we have got different options, like I can go to AI Builder, I can go to Process Advisor. I also have here solutions where you can manage your solutions. And finally, we have got Learn here. So here, if you go to Learn, it opens up in a new window, but it's going to show you where you can find information that will help you to quickly ramp up on Power Automate. So starting with the basics of what is Power Automate, and then there's some training, there are some other videos and things also if you want in here in the Learn. So you have got all these different options, and this is our Power Automate homepage. So when you are working on Power Automate, you will be coming to this particular page here. So let's now look at what are the different types of flows we have. So on that home page, we saw that there's so many different options. So what are those different options and what do they do? So with Power Automate, you can create cloud flows, you can create desktop flows, and then you can create business process flows. Now you create a cloud flow when you want your automation to be triggered either automatically, instantly, or via a schedule. So you have got these options. You create a desktop flow when you want to automate tasks on the web or the desktop. Alternatively, you can also use these two legacy methods for creating desktop flows, like you can use Windows Recorder or you can use the Selenium IDE if you like. And then you have got the business process flows, which provide a guide for people to get work done. Okay, so they provide a streamlined experience for your user, which leads people through the process their organization has defined for interactions that need to be advanced to conclusion of some sort. So business process flows you're going to create to set up that business process and give a guidance to your user on how to do it. So those are the different types of flows that we can have in Power Automate. Now let's look at the demo of how we can create flow from a template. Okay, so let's look at how we can create a flow from a template. Now to do that, we need to go to flow.microsoft.com and you need to sign in with your account. Once you sign in, you will come to this home page. Now we want to make use of a template. So for that, we want to go to templates. And here you can see that we have got this very long list of templates available. So you could pick and choose whichever template you want to start from a template. Now I'm going to use here the one which will save my email attachments to OneDrive for Business. So I'm going to look for Save Office 365 email attachments. And I want to use this one. So this is going to save Office 365 email attachment to OneDrive for Business. So I'm going to select this. Now this particular template is going to make use of Office 365 Outlook, OneDrive for Business, and there's going to be a little bit of delay in the workflow, and we'll see what the delay is for. Now for this workflow to run, you need to connect to your Office 365 Outlook and also to OneDrive for Business. It's already showing me here my name, and then it's showing me that the connection is all green. It is a valid connection. You, in case if you're doing it for the first time, you will have to sign in. So you'll see a sign in option here, and then you'll have to sign in. Because I have already done this once, I don't need to sign in. It has already got that connection. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to say create flow. So this will create my flow there where I have got all the information about my flow. Now I want to edit, so I'm going to go here. And I want to make sure that the email that I'm getting, I am in to list in that, because I don't want to save the attachment which are not for me. So I'm going to add my name here in the to list. And then I'm just going to minimize that one. Now you see that I have got another action here. So this is my trigger and this here is the action. Now you can see that it says apply to each attachment on email, because my email could have multiple attachments. So I need to loop through. So this has created a loop, and then it's going to create a file in OneDrive. So here you can see there's a folder email attachment from Power Automate, and then it's going to create the file and the content. Now in case that fails, then we want to be able to retry. So it's going to check if this fails or not. So here, if it fails, there will be a delay, and then it's going to create your file again. Try to create the file again. And then there's nothing in here, because if this condition is false, then you don't really need to do anything. You have got the file created. You could add additional actions, like maybe you want to notify someone or something like that. You could do that. You can add these other actions from all these different places. And let me minimize this, and then you can show it on a bigger screen. So see here, and then I need to make sure I save it. Okay, because I made change, so I need to make sure that I have saved it. You also have got this option here which is called flow checker. So this flow checker is going to show you if there are any errors and then how to resolve them. Okay, but we don't have any errors, so we don't need to worry about it. And then you also have this option of testing, so you could test manually, or you can let it test automatically if you want. So we're not going to test it from here. What I'm going to do is actually simulate this by sending an email. So I'm going to come out of this editor, and I'm going to go to our main page, and here you can see that now I have got my flow which is configured in here. So let's send an email. So I'm going to open up another account here, and then from that account I'm going to send an email to myself, and let's say flow attachment test, and then this is my attachment that I have added, and let's just call it that, and then I'm going to click send. So the email has been sent, and I'm going to close this, and the email will come to my account, and then after that this flow will run. So we want to check the flow history. Okay, so let's go in the flow here, and we have got these all runs where we can go to see the history. It hasn't run yet, but we'll wait for a bit, and then we'll see if we get the runs. So I'm going to go to back to here. So let's refresh, and now you can see here we have got the flow that's running. So I can go here. So you can see here that your flow has run successfully. It says here, and then I can see the status. So this green tick means it has run successfully. So this was my trigger. So there was an email that was sent. And then if I expand this, it has run once because we have got only one file that was there in the attachment. It has created this file here. It shows you the file content, the file name, and then we have got these email attachments, and then all the other information about the file. And then here we have got the condition. Now this wasn't really successful because we have the file created already, so that condition was really irrelevant. So if we look at this, we have got this file creation successful. Now this condition was not really required because the file was created. If there was any failure, this will show here a red cross, and then I could resubmit or I could edit from here. So this is how you can actually create a flow from a template. And you'll be able to see all your flows in this place here under my flows. Okay, so now that we know how we can create a flow based on a template using a browser, I'm going to show you how we can create the same thing from your mobile app. So I'm going to bring up my mobile just here. So I'm projecting my mobile onto my screen, and I have got Power Automate application installed on my mobile. So I'm using Android. You can do the same thing on iOS as well. So you can see here that I have got this activity which shows my activity. I have got one approval, one flow that I have created earlier in the earlier demo that you can see here. I can also browse, and I can see other templates that there are available. And then you can see here it says buttons. So buttons is something that you are going to use when you want to run a flow from your mobile. So for example, I was talking about using my mobile phone to record mileage. So I can create then buttons like this, and the mileage example that I was talking about. So what I did there is I created two buttons. One is start, other one is stop. So whenever I start from my office to go to customer location and I'm driving, so I'm gonna start my flow from my mobile. So it records my location, and then it will add some records in there in an Excel file. And then when I reach my customer location, I click the stop button. So that's going to record again my location at customer location, and then it will add that, and then it will calculate the distance between location 1 and the location 2. So all that is done through the buttons flow in your mobile. Okay, so here then you have got option to see all your flows as well. So here it's going to show you all the flows you have, so the ones you created in the browser, your team flows, and the ones you create from mobile. So everything you will see. So let's create one from here. So I'm going to go to browse, and I want to create this one, send myself a reminder in 10 minutes. So I'm just going to click that one, and I'm going to say use this template. Now here this one is manually trigger a flow. Okay, so there is no input at the moment. I could add an input if I want in here, and then because I want to trigger the flow manually, I'm going to say here that I want to if I want to add an input, I can select. But because I'm doing it manually, I don't really need to add anything. So I'm just going to close this. And then there's this delay of 10 minutes, and then we have got this send push notification option here. So 10 minutes is a long time, so let's change this, and I'm gonna make it 30 seconds. So here I wanna change this to 30 seconds. Okay, and then I'm gonna click done. And then instead of minutes, let's do it seconds, because we want to see the demo in action. So I'm going to make it second. And then this is manually triggered, and I'm going to rename this. So send myself reminder in, let's make it 30. And then we do this. So, okay, so let's pick 30 seconds. Okay. And I don't need to make any changes in here. So the reminder by Power Automate, that's the text that I'm going to get. And let's click create. Okay, so here we have our flow ready. I can share this. So this is a button flow. Okay, so I can share this. I can manage the flow, which will take me to edit page. And to run this, I can click here. So I've got this send myself. So I need to actually first click done, and then go to my buttons, and then I want to click here. Okay, now I do have an option to invite others and share the button link. I'm just going to click. So this is started. We can go and see in here, and it will show you the run history. So this is in progress. So this shows you the run history. And then you have got here ability to add other owners. You can edit your flow. You can enable, disable your flow. You can see users and connections. You can save this. So if you want to export, and you can also delete this flow here. So here you can see I've got this reminder by Power Automate. So that was the text that we were sending. And that text was sent after 30 seconds because we had that 30-second delay in our flow. So this is how you can work with your mobile app. You will be able to create those buttons, and then you can pin this button to your home page. So if you want to run the button directly instead of going to the app and then running the button, you can do that as well. There's a widget that you can put on your mobile app there. So that was our demo of creating the flow in mobile app using a template. Now we are going to look at dynamic content in Power Automate. So in the flow that we just created, it was all based on the template. So all the required fields, they were already populated for us in the template. What if we are creating the flow from scratch and we need to add some data from our earlier actions? Now we can make use of this dynamic content with our flow, which will allow us to pick up the data from the earlier steps that we have done, and then we'll be able to add that in the next steps, right? So here, for example, I have got this trigger when a record is created, and then what I'm doing here is sending an email on that. Now when that email, I have got a subject and I've got a body, so I need the title. Now that title I can pick up from this because I need the title of the record, so I can pick up from my earlier thing, trigger. Now here you can see I have got this dynamic content. Now this is where it's going to show me from my earlier action. So when a record is created, that was the trigger. So from that I can get a title, I can also get a description here, and then I can add that in my email. So I don't do any kind of hard coding or anything, and I have got the information that's really valuable from the record there, which I want to send by email. So that's how your dynamic content is going to work. So now let's look at how we can really add this dynamic content in our flows in this demo. So let's now look at how we can make use of dynamic content in our flow. So here we are going to create a flow to get some notifications. So I am back in my flow portal. So you can see here I have got the option to click new flow. Now let me just expand and tell you where I am. So I'm here in my flows, and I can click here new flow, and I have got these different options. So I could start from a template, video template. I can create automated cloud flow. I can create instant cloud flow. I can create a scheduled cloud flow, desktop flow, and a business process flow in here. So we are going to again create from a template. And then I want to get one which sends push notification. So I'm going to say get a push notification when you receive an email. So that's the one I want to do. So here we have got this option. So get push notification when you get an email from a VIP customer or when you get an email from your boss. So I want to send this. So I'm going to click that here. And then again, for this particular flow, I have got Office 365 Outlook, and then I have got two other connectors, users and notifications. So here you can see, because I used Outlook earlier, it's already signed in for me, but I haven't really used this connector Office 365 users. So I need to sign in. And then the notifications connector was also used, so I get that. So I can go here, create flow, and then I go in edit to edit the flow. Now here we can see we have got again on new email, and then I can add here my name to make sure that I get that notification only when it's me. Okay, and then here you can see there's a step get my profile. So this is going to get my profile. So here then I can select me if I want. I can select different fields, like if I want specific things. So that's get my profile, and then we have got here get manager. So this get manager, you can see here whenever I'm clicking on any of these fields, it actually brings up this particular menu. This menu is the dynamic content menu, and you can see here I have got dynamic content, and then I can actually get specific things. So here it's saying you have got this get my profile. So this was the action which was performed before this get manager. So you can see here get my profile, the action which was performed before this manager, get manager. So I can actually get the values from my earlier step. That's what I'm doing here. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for my user principal name. So if I scroll down here, I've got the user principal name. So what this action is going to do is it's going to go to Azure Active Directory. It's going to take my user principal name and then look for my manager. And then it's going to return that manager's information in here. Okay. And then we can go to the next step, and let me minimize this. And here it says that check if my manager, and then here we have got the body from. So let me actually see if I can zoom in here. No. So here this is body from. So this particular action is body from, and then equal to the mail. So this is taking the body get manager body mail. So it's taking the manager's email. So if I just click on this and scroll down in here, and then here you can see this is my get profile, and then you also have this get manager. So what we want is we want this. So let's see, we want two things. First of all, we want the email from here, so from whom the email is coming. So that's why there is that from. And then the second one we want, which is in here, is we want to know the email address of the manager that's in the directory there. So in here again I can go get manager, and then I look for the mail. So here you can see that. So that's what we have taken as the dynamic content. Now once we get that, then what we want to do, we want to set the push notification, and the notification is boss said, and then there is this body subject. So let me zoom in again here, and you can see this is actually getting from that email, the first trigger that we have got. So it's getting that value from that, and we can actually see that here as well. So this is get manager. I want to go to that email option, so not this one. Let's scroll down a little bit. So we have got on new email. So from here what we want is we want the subject. So we will get the subject from that particular email there, and then there is a link and everything. So I can also edit this, and I can add additional information from my earlier steps if I want to in this one. And then in the no option we are not really doing anything. So if it is from manager, I want to do some action. If not, then I don't. So that's what this is about, and I can then save this. So now whenever there is an email which comes from manager, I will be getting that notification on my mobile saying that the email is from manager and the manager said this. Okay, so this is how you can add the dynamic content on your flow. So you will be able to get the values from your earlier steps that you have done in the next steps that you are going to add in your flows there. So that's how you can work with your dynamic content in your flow. So we looked at how we can add this dynamic content in our flow. Now also let's look at how we can add expressions, because sometimes just the having the values is not really useful. You may want to do some calculation, or sometimes you want to do concat, or maybe multiply, or some expression you want to use. So there is an option there. You can use expressions in Power Automate. And with the help of expressions, then you will be able to combine the data that we are getting through the dynamic content and adding some expressions with that. So to write an expression in Power Automate, we are going to select the field, open the dynamic content, and then we'll pick the expression. So expressions are a set of simple functions that enable you to return data. What that means is you use expressions to write a formula to get your data the way you want it. Okay, so the expressions, they allow you to do things like maybe convert a date to UTC, or divide two numbers, or create that perfect string by combining different fields. much more you can do there by using various types of functions. Now to write the expressions, we will go here in this dynamic content, and we have got this expression option, and then we can choose the expressions which are being shown in here. Okay, and then we can also add the content from the dynamic content in there. Okay, so let's see how we can do that in this demo, expressions in the Power Automate. Okay, so let's now look at how we can make use of expressions in Power Automate. So in the last demo, we saw how we can make use of dynamic content. Now we will look at how we can make use of expressions and the dynamic content. So I'm back here on my flow or Power Automate portal. So here you can see I have got these different flows, and I need to click new flow. So to create the flow, and then I am going to create here an instant cloud flow. Okay, and then here I'm going to give it a name. So let's call it calculate, because I'm going to do some calculations. So I'm going to call it calculate flow. I'm going to select manual trigger. So I'm going to manually trigger it, not based on any other app based trigger or connection based trigger, just the manual trigger. And then I'm going to click create here. So this is going to create that manually triggered flow for me. And now I want to add different steps. So first of all, in this manually triggered flow, I need some input. So I'm going to click add input, and then I'm going to select number here, and I am going to give it a name. So let's call it square footage, and then please enter the number. Let that be like that. And then I'm gonna again add another input, and then I am going to select number again, and then I'm gonna call this cost. Okay, so that's my input. Now then I want to add a new step, and then here, because I want to calculate, I need a way for me to calculate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for what's called as compose, and there is this compose operation. So this is part of data operation here, and you can perform different data operations when you select this compose. So I'm going to select that, and then when I click on input, you can see that here I have got this dynamic content option here. But what we are going to do is we are going to use expression. So I'm going to click on this expressions tab, and then I'm going to say mul, because I want to multiply. So to calculate the calculation that I want to do, I've got the square footage and the cost, so I'm going to multiply those. So I'm going to take that, and you can see here as soon as I start the bracket, it adds the close bracket there. And now I'm doing multiplication. It also tells you what that means. So the number to multiply and multiplicand to. So you need to enter all that. Okay. So here let's pick some dynamic content. So we can go here, and then I am going to include this, which is my square footage, and then I'm going to enter a comma, and then I'm going to add a cost. Okay, so here what this has done is I've got this mul function, which is multiplication, and then it's going to get the number from the trigger body, and then it's also going to get the number 1, which is our cost, from the trigger body. And then I'm going to click OK to get that multiplication here. Okay, so now we have got that in there. What we need to do now is we want to add another step. So I'm going to again click next here, and then I'm going to go for compose again. Now this time in the input, what I want to do is I want to take the output from my earlier calculation that we did here. So I want that, and you can see here in the dynamics window, I have got this output from there. So I want that, but I want it to be formatted in a specific format. So again, I'm going to go into expression, and then here I have got this format number. So I can pick up that, and then I'm going to say this, and then I want the number which I need to format. So that's my dynamic content. So I'm going to go here in dynamic content, and then I can go click this output. Okay, and then I'm going to click add a comma, and then I want a specific format. So I want a currency format. So I'm going to go with C2 here. Oops, let me do that again. So here, expression format. So we have got the format number, and I want the dynamic content. So let's go here, output, comma, C2, and then I'm going to click OK. So that's my expression here, and if I click on it, you can see what the expression is. So format number, I'm taking the compose output as the input to my compose 2, and then I'm converting it with the formatting of C2. Okay, so this is going to make it look like it's a currency. Okay, so we've got that. Now we can click save. So let's go save this one. So now what we have got, we are manually triggering. Then we have got two inputs, and then I have got a compose where I am going to multiply these. So if you click here, you can see that. And then second option I'm doing is I'm going to format this in here. So my flow is ready where I'm making use of expressions and also the dynamic content. Now I want to test it. So let's go to this test option, and then here I can say manually start the test. So I want to perform by starting an action. So let's click test, and then it's asking me for the square footage. So let's give some number, maybe some random number. So let's say 20. And what's the cost? Let's say 100. Okay, and then I want to run the flow, and then the flow has run successfully. Now we can actually see the result. So it brings us the result here that the flow has run successfully, and all these steps are triggered. Let's go through one by one. So this is our trigger where we enter the value 10, 20 and 100. Then we have got the compose. So it did the multiplication. So it calculated that 2000, and then we formatted. So here it's going to show you in the currency format. Okay, so what we did in this flow, we created a manually triggered flow, and then we took all the inputs from the manually triggered flow, multiplied them, so made use of expressions. We also made use of dynamic content, and then next time again we made use of expression to format that input. So if you want to do such formatting, if you want to do some calculations, or if you want to manipulate the data in some way, then you could make use of these expressions in your flow there. So that was how you can make use of expressions in your Power Automate. And that was our module 1. So let's have a look at a little bit of knowledge check with module 2. So here we are going to introduce you to business process flows. So let's first understand what it is. Okay, so business process flows provide a guide for people to get your work done. So business process flow, it's a series of ordered work steps that the user completes within a business process. So in Microsoft Power Automate, a business process flow is composed of a series of discrete steps that leads a user to a path towards process completion. Now each step here or a stage, it contains one or more columns, which is called as data steps. Now that you should then complete before proceeding to the next stage in your business process flow. A business process flow visually guides a user through stages within a process and then shows the progress toward process completion. So your user can also see which stages that they have completed and which stages that they still need to complete within an instance of a process. So you can see here that we have got these different stages, and these are the stages that the user needs to go through. Okay, so business process flows, they can be configured to require users to enter information into certain columns which are called as data steps before completing the stage. And if needed, you can also allow your users to jump stages. So all the data that is collected while you're completing a business process flow is stored in one or more tables in Dataverse. Now, what is a Dataverse? So let's just quickly understand what Dataverse is, and then we'll come back to this slide. So a Dataverse is a way for you to store your data. So this is Microsoft Dataverse. So here you are going to securely store data and manage the data that is used by your business. So securely store, and then you can also manage your data which is stored for your business or used by your business application. And the data in the Dataverse that you have got here is stored in the form of tables. So here we have got a set of tables that you can make use of where your data is going to go. So what that means is you have got all these rows and columns where your data is going to go there. Now each column in the table is designed to store a certain type of data. For example, it could be name or age or salary and so on. So Dataverse includes a set of standard tables. So you have got that standard tables that you can pick from. And this will cover typical scenarios, but you can also create your custom tables if you want. So that's also an option for you where you can create custom tables. Okay, so that's your Dataverse or Microsoft Dataverse that you can use with these business process flows, and you will be able to create your columns. And we are going to see that in the demo how we can create our own columns or use the existing ones if we want. Okay, so that's Dataverse. So now let's talk about the business process in a bit more detail here. So our data is now going into Dataverse. Now this image here shows a simple business process flow with two stages for adding your questions to the survey. So the business process flows, they are created and managed using the Power Automate. So we can see here. And then they are available for out of the box tables and for your custom tables as well. And there are many pre-built business process flows that Microsoft has created, or you can even create your own. Now, additionally, a table can have one or none or many business processes flows associated with it. The business process flows, they are customizable to fit many organizational needs. And so these flows, they are meant to guide your users through the steps that are required to complete business process. And one thing to remember here is you are going to need Power Apps Dynamics 365 license. So I'm just going to note down here. Or you can have Power Apps license. So there are different types of Power App licenses that you can have. So you can either have that or you can have the Dynamics 365 license for you to be able to get access to business process flows and be able to create the tables and use the tables that are there and create your processes with that. With business process flows, you define a set of stages and steps that are then displayed in control at the top of the form. Now, each stage, it contains a group of steps. Each step, it represents a column where the data can be entered, and you can then advance to the next stage by using the next stage button. So just going to highlight here on the slide. So you can see here we have got this next stage option, and you can see these stages here. So first stage, qualify, develop, propose, close, and then for each of these stage, you have got the steps that you want to perform. So these are basically the columns where you want to enter the data in here. Okay, now you can make a step required so that people must enter data for a corresponding column before they can proceed to the next stage. So this is commonly called as stage gating. So if you are adding a business required column to the stage, it's a good idea to add this column to your form as well. For complex scenarios, you can enhance your business process flow using branching. You can use a business process flow for a single table or span multiple tables. For example, you may have a process that begins with an opportunity and then continues to a quote, an order, and then an invoice. So before finally returning to that close of the opportunity. Okay, so your users can then switch between multiple business processes running concurrently, and then it can resume their work at the stage in the process that they were on. And you can associate business process flows with security roles so that only people with those security roles can see and use them. So it is role tailored. So you have got all these features. This gives you a guide, a roadmap, which allows your users to go through that process visually. So you've got these stages and steps that you are going to add. You're going to create stage gating if required. If you want to make certain things required, without that you cannot proceed, so you can do that stage gating. You can also add conditional branching. You can connect to multiple tables there, and then you can switch at any time between different processes that you have got. And finally you have got those role tailored, which means it's based on the security. If you have permission, you can do it. If you don't, then you cannot work on this process. So that's how you can set up your business process flows. So when do we really use these business process flows? So it's important to know when to use business process flow or a regular Power Automate flow to automate a process or the task that you are working on. So these guidelines here, they can help you to decide if you should use a business process flow or a standard Power Automate flow. Now you're going to use business process flow if you want to create automated business processes within Dynamics 365 solutions. So here want to create automated business processes with Dynamics 365 solution. If you want a simple visual guide to help your users complete the process, in that scenario also you will use the business process flow. So want a simple visual guide to help your users complete a process. If you want to use out of the box business process flows, then in that scenario also you're going to use the process flows obviously. So want to use out of the box business process flows. And if you have got a Dynamics 365 license and you want to create automated business processes with the Dataverse, so you want to make use of the tables and the columns that are there, the rows and the columns that are there in that Dataverse, then also you're going to use the business process flows here. So have that license and create automated business processes with the Dataverse, and you can make use of business process flows. So how are these different from your Power Automate? So let's see how business process flows are different from a Power Automate flow. So I'm going to switch to my whiteboard here and let's talk about the differences. So here on this side, we have got our business process flow. And then on this side, we'll talk about Power Automate flow. Okay, so business process flow, it is a visual guide. And this is meant to help your users complete a business process. So it's your visual guide and it's meant to help your users. Oops. Okay, So users, they are not limited on how long they run a business process or how long they have a stage open. So there is no time limit as such, okay? All the data that is associated with the business process can only be stored in one or more tables in the dataverse. So you have to have this associated with a dataverse table or many tables, and you cannot associate a business process with another data source behind it. Okay, your data source, that is your dataverse, has many different out of the box business process flows that you can use in its current state, or you can even modify to fit your needs in that scenario. In case of Power Automate, what happens is a Power Automate flow, it does not have a visual component, or it does not have any visual components like business process flow. So there is no visual guide as such here. The Power Automate flows, they can be configured to work with many different data sources, and a flow can connect to many different data sources within the same flow. So it's not just limited to Dataverse. You can have different data sources. A flow can be configured to time out if it is not completed in certain time, and it can be triggered to move between steps on a data or user interaction. Okay, so you have got your steps which are based on data or user interaction. Flows, they support complex logic and looping, and Power Automate flow can call another Power Automate flow as needed as well. So we have got here complex logic, and then you have got here even you can do looping if you want, and you can also call other Power Automate flow if you want. So that's as needed. Now, business process flows allow organizations to quickly standardize how processes are completed, and the data is collected at each stage. So, this is going to help then standardize how your processes are completed. So, business process flows, they support also logical branching. So, here we have got the ability to add logical branching if needed, and if you need to make things mandatory, you can do that as well. And you can use it to standardize many common business processes within your organization. Now, because of this, business process flows, they offer different benefits. So I'm just going to highlight here, we have got improved outcomes. So business process flow gives you improved outcome because you have got that visual guide. People know how to go through these stages, and if they need to pause, they can pause. So this gives you improved outcomes. You have got consistent stages and work step across all the instances of the process, and then you get improved data collection and reporting as well with these business process, and you have got this decreased time to complete the process there. So these are your simple to set up and administer business process flows. The business process users who are close to business operations and processes, they can create new business process flows or modify out of the box business process flows by using Power Automate. And these process flows, they can be customized based on your security rules, allowing access to appropriate stages and steps based on that rule. And then finally, the process of each instance of a business process flow can be monitored. And the data from the process flow can be used in Power BI dashboards. And also, you've got this reporting for simplified administration as well. So business process flows, they are deeply integrated with Microsoft Power Platform. They are created, customized, and managed using Power Automate, and you can manage or create new business processes by launching Power Automate and then selecting business process flows under My Flows in the Power Automate. So you can see here in this image, we go to My Flows, and then we have got here business process flows option. You will see some sample flows there, and then you'll be able to create your own. You'll be able to modify the existing ones if you want. Now let's look at when to use which of these flows. So as you know, a business process flow, it's a visual guide which is meant to help your users complete a business process by using a set of predefined stages. And the users, they are not limited on how long they run the business process or how long they keep the stage open there. So all the data is associated in that dataverse. So if you want to create automated business processes with the dataverse solution, then you are going to use business process flow. If you want a simple visual guide to help your users complete a process, then also you're going to use the business process flow. When you want to use this out of the box business process flows, that time also you're going to use the business process flow. And if you have got this Dynamics 365 license and you want to create automated business processes with Dataverse, you are going to use the business process flow. On the other hand, the Power Automate flow, you're going to use it when you want to start it based on some predefined maybe time interval, or maybe you want to run it certain times in a day or hour or an event, or when you want to have it run on a trigger. So this trigger could be something external to Dataverse. It could be your SharePoint, or it could be your OneDrive, email, or SQL database, or something else. So you can have any trigger from those 400 connectors that we have got. And you do not want to store the data that is captured in the flow in the Dataverse. In this scenario, maybe you want to connect to a different data storage solution like a SQL Server, for example, or a SharePoint. So you can use Power Automate flow in that scenario. And if you want to get things like push notifications outside of Outlook, like maybe you want to get SMS, or maybe you want to send an email to Gmail, or in your mobile app, if you want to get that push notification, you can make use of Power Automate flow in that scenario. Also, when you want to use and create workflows only with Office 365 license, so you don't need to have Dynamics 365 license when you're working with this Power Automate flow. You can create the Power Automate flow with the Office 365 license. That time also you're going to create this Power Automate flow there. Okay, so that's the difference when you'll use which of these flows. Now let's look at the demo for how we can create the business process flow. Okay, so let's look at how we can create the business process flow. So I am here in my Power Automate homepage, and I need to go to My Flows. And then here we have got this option, business process flows. So we want to go there. And then you can see that I have got some business process flows there already. So once you create the Dataverse, you do get some of these. So translation, expire, new process. So these are like demos. And then this is something I have created earlier. Now I'll just walk you through the process of creating new business process flow. So you need to select new here. You have to give it a name, and then you have to choose a table that you are going to use. So these are the tables from the Dataverse. And you can see here there is like a very long list of tables which are available. So these are like the standard tables. If you do not want to use any of these, you want to create your own, then you could say here none and then click create. So that's going to create the table in the Dataverse, and also it's going to create that business process flow for you. So now I have already created one. So I'm going to go there and we'll edit that and we'll add different stages in that. Okay. So let me cancel this one, and this is the one I have created, customer check-in. So I'm going to click edit in here, opens up in a new window. And then here you are going to then add different stages in this flow. And these stages will really help then your users to add the data in there. Okay, so you can see this is my first stage and I have given it a name, collect customer info, and you can also see that it is connected with customer check-in entity in here. Okay, now we want to make sure that we have got the right fields and things, so you could click here, click add to add fields and forms, and it'll open up the legacy, actually the window for click forms and fields. Instead of that, what you should do is you go to this power apps and then go under data. If you'll see here tables. When you go to these tables, you will see that there is an entity created for you based on the name that you have given to your business process. So mine is customer check-in. So you can see here we have got this customer check-in. And then I have added here columns that I need. So there will be some columns which are created for you already and some columns you need to create. Okay. Now here I'm going to go back to my process and we'll start adding different stages in here, and then we'll see if there's anything that we need, if we need to add any columns specifically for a particular stage. So first of all, we need to expand this and click on one of these steps. Now before this, let me just quickly show you here different components you can have. So you can have a stage in the business process flow, and you can have a condition, and then in that you can have data steps, you can have a workflow, you can have action step, and you can also have flow step. So here we are going to add data steps which are related to your columns. So let's get this step here. So I have got first name, and I just want to pick the first name from here. So you can see I have that, and then I want to click apply, so that adds. Now when I want to add additional steps, what I need to do is I go to components and I pick here, and then I can bring it and then I can add in here. So that adds another step, and then let's give it a name. So that's going to be my last name, and then I'm going to enter here last name. So let's look for last name and then click apply. Now for this particular, so this is a customer information, so I also want to have address, so I'm gonna go here and then I'm gonna add my address. Let's call it address, and then here I will have address field, and then I'm going to click apply. So here I have got the address field there. And if I want any other information about the customer, then I already have the column. So all I need to do is for the required columns, I need to just keep on adding these data steps in here. And then I can just go add, and let's say that I also want to get the city because my address field cannot really have that. So I'm going to say city and then enter that city in here and apply. So likewise, I can add all the different columns that I need. So this is my stage 1 where I am collecting customer information. Okay, so I have done apply. Now I need to make sure that I update. So save. So this little icon here is for saving. So you save that particular stage here. Okay, so this what we have done, we have got one stage at the moment, and then we have added different steps in that. Now we can also add some additional steps if you like in this, but before we do that, let's actually run this and see how it works. So we have got it saved. I'm going to go back to my flow, which is the business process flow here, and then I'm going to click this run. Okay, so I'm going to click that run. So now you can see that I have got this one stage only, which is collect customer info, and I can start adding the name here. So let's say customer 1, and then I want to go here and give the customer name. So customer 1, last name 1, some address, so maybe 123, let's call it test drive, and let's maybe give it a name, give your city, Okay, and then you click finish. So what we have done is we have entered the data for this, and once your data is entered, you can see here that it shows finished. And how can we check if our data is entered? So we can just close this one, we can go back to our Power Apps, and we have got our table in here. Now for this table, if I want to visualize the data, I can edit the data in Excel, I can export the data, and then I can also click here, which is this option will show me the data. Now I'm going to go here and say all columns. So these are different views. So I'm going to go to all column, and then here you can see this is the data that we have added for that particular stage in here. Okay, so this is how you can create your business process flow, and then you will be able to run your business process flow like this. But at the moment we just have here just one stage. We are going to look at adding additional stages in the next demo. We looked at the introduction of how we can create the business process flow. Now we are actually going to create that business process flow in this second demo. So in the earlier demo, we saw how we can create the business process, how we can run the business process, but we just have one stage in here. In a real scenario, you will have multiple stages. So we want to be able to add additional stages that will appear in here. So for that, what we can do, we can go back to our business process flows, and I can say click edit, and I can go to the edit page, or I already have it in the edit mode here. So I can go here and then I can add. So let's actually start adding some other stages. So here I select add stage, and you can see this plus button appears, so we can just click on it. Now this is adding this stage. Now I need to give this stage a name, or I can just keep it at the new stage, and it is showing me this error. So we'll fix this, we'll see what the error is, and we want to change that. So let's add some steps here. So we need to give a name and select a value. For that I'm going to add here, let's say automobile make, and then I need to select a column. Now you can see that I don't really have a column here for this stage, so that's not a problem. What I need to do is I need to go back to my Power Apps, and then I go to my columns in here, and I want to say add some columns. So I'm going to call it automobile make, and then that's a text field, and let's make it a required field, and then I'm going to click done, and then I'm going to call it here automobile year as another field, and that's going to be a whole number, and then I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to give another field here. So let's say automobile mileage, and that's also a whole number, and I'm going to add that. And here I have got comments, so let's call that automobile comments, because we already had one comments column earlier. So here I'm going to say comments, and I want to select text area, and I'll keep it optional. So I'm going to go here. So now I have added these additional columns, so I'm going to save this table. So the table is saved, but it won't reflect straight away in here. I need to refresh. But then you can see here that I have got an error. So what I'm going to do is I am tentatively going to select something and apply, and I'm going to update this and save, so that when I refresh the page, my stage will still remain. Otherwise, because I haven't saved, I might lose that. So I want to save that, and then I want to refresh this. So this is my stage here. Now let's change this, and now we want this to be make. So let's pick that up and click add. Now I want to add a few more data steps in here. So what I want is the year. So let's go with automobile year, and we go here, and then we select the column, click apply, Next, we're gonna add this mileage. And also select the respective column and then click apply, and let's also add the comments. So we want it here, and just remember to drop it on that plus sign, and then we want automobile comments. Okay, and I want to select that, so comments, and then we click apply here. So this is stage, another stage added. I'm gonna save this. So we have got these two stages where user can enter the data. Now I want to add a condition, and I want to add some branching in here. Okay, so let's go to component, and let me minimize this details here. So let's go to the components, and then I want to add a condition. So I can pick that, and I want to drop the condition here. Okay, now there are still errors, but we'll fix this. So here for the condition, we want to give it a name. So the condition display name. So what I want to do is, for this particular process, we are checking in the cars. Okay, so we want to check the condition of the car and whether the car is built before specific year, and if it is, then do something. If it is not, then do something else. So here I'm gonna say we want to check the year of manufacturing. So pre or post, I'm gonna give it a year, and then here we want a field, so I'm gonna check for the year, and that is let's say greater than, and I want value, and I want to say 1971. Okay, so we have got that. So we have got here the condition name is this, and the rule is it's going to check for the automobile year which is greater than, if 1971, then we want to do something. Okay, so now we have click apply. Also make sure you save, but there's an error, so it's not really going to save. Now here I want to add different stages, so I'm going to go here and I want to add stage, so I can add one stage here, and then I can update this later. I want to add another stage, and I want to add that other stage here. Okay, so as soon as I add the stages, you see that the error from this condition is gone, because it was erroring out for not having stages for the true and false values. So now we will update these, and we'll see what we want to do. So this one here, I want to call it collect payment. And we want to, hang on, sorry, this one here I want to actually call, I should call this post 1971 check, and this one here I want to call it pre. Okay, so apply, I forgot to apply, so post 19. Remember to apply, because if you don't apply, then it can be a problem. Okay, so we have got these. Now in here, I need to then add the details for this one. And I also want to collect the payment if it's post. Okay, so we can add another step. So I'm gonna go here and then add this one here. And then let's call this collect payment, and then we'll apply. Okay, So now we have got all the stages that we need, but we need to make sure that we have added all the required steps. So in this particular step, what I want to do is I want to add different fields. So here I'm going to go add fields, and let me add here. So I'm going to give you some names, and I have got the corresponding fields in here. So I'm going to add, and you can see as I add my steps here in the stages, the error goes. Okay, so now I want to add another step in here, and I want to call this maybe PVC wall intact. And let's search that, and here we have. So I've got these two values in here. I'm going to minimize this. Now in the pre-check, I want to add some other fields in here. So because this is a pre-1971, so I want to check here HC reading at 2000 RPM, and I want to select that, and then click apply. And then maybe I want to add one more step here, and I can put it here and give it a name, CO reading. Let's call it CO reading at 2000 RPM. And then here I have got that column, so I can apply. So these are the two columns that I'm going to add here in this one. And in this one, we have got these two columns. Okay, so let's see again. We have got two columns. Now you could add as many as you want, okay, for each step. So based on what's required for that particular stage, you can add the respective columns in that stage that you want the user to fill in. If they are required ones, then the user will have to fill in. If it's optional, then user can say it's not really required. Now in here, I want to collect the payment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this amount, and we have the amount, and I'm going to apply, and then I'm going to add another data step here, and we'll call it payment method. And then let's select here, we have got payment method, so I'm going to select that. Okay, and then we are going to update this. So we have got, now you can see that I have got here different stages in my process, and you can actually browse like this as well from here, or if you want to minimize this one, you can minimize the minimap. Now here you can see first stage is you collect the customer information, then second stage here we are collecting the automobile information, and then we have got a condition, so we check the make, whether it's before 1971 or after, and then depending on the result we want to decide whether we want to do post or pre checks in here, and then we want to collect the payment at this particular step. Okay, so that's our flow. Save it again. And I'm going to close that earlier window, and let's run it now. So let's go here. So I'm going to add here the customer. So let's call it customer 2. And then I need to give information here about the customer. So we have got these two mandatory fields. So let's call it last name 2. And I don't need to fill this in, so I can just go next. Then here in this field we have got a mandatory, so we can add this, and let's make it demo model, let's call it that. And then we want the year, so let's say 2000. And then I'm not going to enter any of these checks in here. And then here, as soon as I enter, you can see that it says post 1971 check, and then we have got the collect payment. So we can go here and I can select maybe this and this. And then here I have got the payment information that I can enter. So let's say I want to pay this amount, and then I have got this cash in here. And then I can just save. Okay, so this now I have added this record, and I can actually go in and I can see this in the data in the Power App. So I can go data, and I need to make sure I have got all the columns, and then you can see here I have got the customer too. We have got all the required information that I needed to add in here for that customer there. Okay, so this is how you can work with your business process flows. So you can create your business process flow from your Power Automate, and you can have these different steps or stages. And then inside each stage, you have got the data that needs to be filled in by the user. And depending on your branching and conditions, you will then get different stages appearing for the user so that user can step by step follow that process and then get the data added to respective columns. So that was our demo of how we can create branching and add additional stages in the Power Automate business process flows. So that's how you can create business process flow, and you can help your users, like give them module. We will learn about what AI builder is and how and where we can use AI builder. So let's get started with module 3. So first we want to look at what can we really do with this AI builder. So AI Builder, it allows you to infuse artificial intelligence in any process or your application using your business data. So what data the data that you have got in your Dataverse or your maybe SharePoint, or it could be anywhere else. It could be any first party solution, or it can be even a third party solution. So, all that data that you have got, you want to apply some kind of an intelligence on that, then you can make use of this AI builder. So, like many other Power Platform services, AI Builder is built on top of the Azure platform, but this is packaged in a simplified citizen developer first experience that does not really require an Azure subscription, or you don't have to be a data scientist to be able to implement that. So, this AI Builder, it's a Microsoft Power Platform capability that provides AI models that are designed to optimize your business processes. So AI Builder, it enables your business to use AI to automate processes and then glean insight from your data in Power Apps and Power Automate. And this is a turnkey solution that brings the power of AI through a point and click experience. So you don't need any kind of coding, or you don't need to have that data science skills to access the power of AI or artificial intelligence. Now there are number of pre-built model you can use without having to train them, like sentiment analysis or translation and maybe business card reader. So there are different options there which you can use from. You can also train a custom model to recognize different objects in images, or maybe you want to look at key information in natural language. So you can do that as well with this AI builder. So the capabilities that AI builder has, and I'm just going to highlight them one by one, is we have got ability to analyze text for classification. We have got key phrases, then language and sentiment. So you can look at that. You can predict whether something will happen or not in your data. Okay, so that's also one of the capabilities. You can process business card information. So you will be able to read the business card and then get the information from that business card. You will be able to process the text from your images, and then also read and save information from your standard documents, like maybe forms or some documents, and you want to read the information and then save it to somewhere. You can do that using the AI builder. So you'll be automating your processes or your applications with the help of this AI builder, and it empowers your employees to easily create automation driven by the artificial intelligence. And the users can choose from these pre-built models for common workflow solutions that you might need. For more complex processes, your users can create custom models which are tailored to their needs. So you can do things like maybe you want to do forms processing, or you want to do business card reading, or maybe receipt processing, or if you want to look for maybe language detection, and then a category for the classification if you want to specify, or maybe you want to extract key phrases from your information, you can do that. Or sentiment analysis, so this is one of the common ones these days when you want to look at sentiments on maybe social media. So what tweets are people are making, or based on the posts in maybe Facebook or something you want to, or LinkedIn, you want to get this sentiment analysis, so you could do that as well. You can also look at object detection from your images. So if you want to find specific things from the images, you can do that. You can also do text recognition, OCR. So OCR is optical character recognition. So you can also make use of that. And then you can also use this AI builder for prediction. So based on the data that you have collected, you want to predict something, then you can make use of that. So make decisions based on the data. So AI builder can help you to do that. So let's look at what we can really do with this AI builder. So let's say that you receive thousands of invoices every month. Now, some will be by email, maybe, or some may be regular mail. So, typically, you will have to take the attachment from your email or scan the invoice to save it in some supplier folder. And then you will open each of them and then enter the information in your accounting system to make the payment. So, with the AI builder, you can save a lot of time. First, those invoices which are coming by email, they are processed automatically from PDF to folder to inserting all the facts in your financial system or ERP or whatever you have. And then those coming by mail, just snap a picture of them with your phone and they'll go in the right folder, and they'll also be inserted automatically into your ERP. So those are the sort of things that you can do with this AI builder. So once you have created this model, you have got this AI builder you have used, and the model is ready and you want to use it. So then where can I really use this AI builder model? Now there are different options for you to use the AI builder model that you have created. You can make use of it in Power Apps. You can make use of that in your Power Automate, and you will be then able to create and also use in those applications there these models. And here on the screen you can see that you have got some existing options, like you can take the pre-built examples here, or you can create your own as well. So you can select from these and you want to build on that, like for example if you want to do category classification or entity extraction or form processing or maybe object detection or prediction. So you can use those and customize. If you do not want to use customize, you could just straight away go for these pre-built ones like business card reader, category classification, entity extraction or key phrase extraction. Language detection is there, also receipt processing is there. So you can choose from one of these pre-built options as well if you want. So let's now look at how we can create an AI model. So in this demo, we will look at how we can create the AI model, and then after that, we will look at how we can use the AI builder with Power Automate So AI builder model, once you have created, you want to use it in maybe Power Automate or Power Apps. So in this demo, we are going to look at using the AI builder with Power Automate. Okay, so let's look at how we can create an AI model. So in this demo, we are going to create one AI model from scratch. So let's go here on again our Power Automate portal. And when you scroll down here, you can see that we have got this AI builder. So in the AI builder, when you go to this build option, you're going to see different options for us to create this AI model. So there are different types of AI models you can create. So first of all, you can create custom ones. So you can pick one of these models and you can start creating custom ones. So you can do category classification. So you'll be able to categorize the text by its meaning. So it's easier to analyze. And if you go here, click on this, then it will actually tell you what it is. And also it will suggest some examples for you in here. Okay, so that's category classification. And to create this, what you need to do is just go here, select, give a name to your AI model, and it also tells you what you're going to need. So you're going to need the text entries already classified with tags, and then you need at least 10 plus text entries for each of the tag, and then you click create and you will create that. So same way, you have got entity extraction, so you can recognize specific information about your business from the data that you have got. You've got form processing, so you can read and save information from the standard documents there. You have got object detection also, where you will be able to recognize and count things from images, like maybe you want to look for fruits, or you want to look for if there is an image, and from there you want to look for dogs, or maybe look for people or whatever. So you can do that object detection. Then you also have prediction. So prediction is when if something will happen or not. So that prediction also you can do. So these are different models you have got available, and then there are some pre-built ones already. So you can just straight away start using them. So like business card reader is going to read the business card. So you take a photo and then it will read that. Or maybe sentiment analysis, which is one of the popular ones. So you'll be able to analyze the positive, negative sentiment you have got in the text. Also, language detection, entity extraction is also one of the popular ones. And sometimes people also use this invoice processing or maybe receipt processing. So you can just process the receipts, everything goes in your financial application as you process the receipt or take a photo of the receipt. So, those kind of things you can do with these different models that we have got here. Now what we want to do is we want to create a new one. So let's see how we can create a new one, and we are going to create the one which is object detection. So we are going to look at how we can detect the objects. So I'm going to select this, and then you have to give it a name. So my let's say that I've got these images where there are green tea flavors. Okay, different types of flavors. So I've got green tea cinnamon, green tea mint, and I've got green tea rose. So those flavors I have got, and I've got the photos of those in different images, and we want to train this model to be able to detect which of the green tea packs I have uploaded. Okay, so image of which green tea pack I have uploaded. So let's call this green tea model. And this says here that you need at least 15 plus images of each of these objects. So let's create. Okay, so I need to have those images, which is fine. I do have images, so I can just create that. So once you are in here, you will get some tips on this quick tips section in this one. Now, first of all, what you need to do is select your model's domain. So if you do not know the right domain, then you can just go with the common objects. Okay. Otherwise, you can say objects on retail shelves. So these will be things like how you can see in your supermarkets. Here we have got all these different objects, or maybe in any retail place that you go or shop that you go to, you will be able to see these objects, and then you can tag them. You can also look for things like brand logos. So here you can see this is actually going to recognize different logos. So if you want to do that, then you can pick that. But I want to go for common objects because I'm not sure which one to pick for the example that I have got, which is my green tea flavor. So I'm going to go here and select common object. And then next what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have added my object name. So I'm going to say here green tea cinnamon. Um, and then I'm going to add here green tea mint, and I'm gonna add green tea rose. Okay, so these are my different flavors that I need to detect. And then next I need to go here and then I need to add images. So when you say add images, you can upload the images from your local storage, you can upload the images from SharePoint, or if you want to upload the images from Azure Blob Storage, you could do that as well. So I can click here and I can say upload images, and then I can pick. Now here you at least need to add 15 images for each of those objects. Okay, it says here. So we need to make sure that we are doing that. And here you can see I have got these 30 images. So I can pick these and I can upload. Now I'm not going to do all these 30 in here because it's going to take too long. So I have already created a model based on this, but I just want to show you what happens when you upload the image. So let's just take these examples here. So I'm going to upload these 4 images. And once these images are uploaded, you have to tag them. So we have got our images added. So I'm going to go next. And then each of this image you will have to tag them. So what you do is just select this and say green tea rose, and then select this is my cinnamon, and this is my mint. So I'm going to select that. So likewise you need to do for all of your images, and as you're doing it you can see here on this side it saves that. Okay, so we do that. And then so let's do for this one as well, and then do that and do that. So we'll just do for these 4, and then I'll come out and I'm going to show you the one I already have, where I have got 30 images that I have uploaded. So it makes it better when you have got more images. Okay, so you want to have maximum images that you can have. So here I'm going to tag it like this. So you choose specific items and then you tag it. So it will bring up those object names that you have given earlier. So you tag that, and once you have done that, you want to say done tagging. So we have done the tagging, and then once you have done the tagging, you will get this option here to click next. Now it says you will need at least 15 images for this to work. But that's going to take very long time. So for that, what I have done, I have actually created a model based on the same already. So let's go back here. And I'm going to go to edit model. So when I say edit model, it is going to create a new version of that. Okay, and then here you can see that I have got all these object names, and then I have got my images. So I have got 30 images added here, and then I have also got these tags. Okay, so all that I have got in here in this particular model. Now I do not want to make any changes in here, so I'm just going to come out of this and go back into my models from here. So that's my model. Okay, so I can say I want to discard that draft because I didn't need it. Now once this draft is discarded, we can actually do a test directly from here, and you can also publish. So here you can see it says quick test. So I can do a quick test, and let's say I want to upload image from my device. So I'm going to go here. Now these are the images I have trained. So I do not want to use the one I used to train. I want to use something else. So here I have got some test images. So let's go with maybe this one. And then I'm going to open up. And then this is going to do that test. So you can see here that it is showing that this is a green rose, and this is a cinnamon, and this is mint, and also it shows you this percentage. So what that means is that's the score it has given. So that's a confidence score that we have got for these images here. Okay, so this is how you can test that AI model directly from within this Power Automate. And then if I want to use this somewhere, like maybe I want to use it in Power Automate workflow, or if I want to use in Power Apps, so there are different ways I could use it. So for that, I need to publish it. So I'm going to click publish. So our model is published. I can click use model to use that model. If I want to do it in Power Automate or Power Apps, I can do that as well. So there we have our model which is doing the object detection for the green teas that we have got. So now that we have created our AI builder, we want to be able to use it. So we are going to look at how we can use AI builder with Power Automate. So let's go into the demo of using AI builder with Power Automate. So now that we have got our model, we want to be able to use it. Now there are different ways you could use your model. You could use it in your Power Automate flow, or you can even use it in your Power Apps as well. Okay, so let's go to this model that we published. And then you have got this option here, use model. And you can say here, I want to use it in Power Apps, or I want to create a new Power Automate. So let's click new Power Automate in flow. And now here you can see that it's actually creating a flow for you. Okay, so here it's going to create this flow button, and then we have got this AI builder. Okay, and it's going to connect to this Dataverse that I have got. So I'm going to click sign in, and then I'm going to click continue. So what this is doing, it's going to manually trigger this flow, and it's going to ask for the image file as an input. And once I upload that image file, it's going to detect and count the objects in image. So this is basically my AI builder application call. So it's connector for AI builder. So it's going to call this particular AI model, and then it'll pass that image file that I have got. And then what it is going to do, there is a for loop here, and it's going to look for the results, and it's going to show the detected object and also the confidence score that it has got. Okay, so let's try this, and you could also create this on your own from scratch as well if you want. All you have to do is you can add an action, and you can choose here AI builder, and then you need to select here detect and count object in images, and then you pick that model that you have got. But we already have that, so we don't need to modify anything in here. Let's just save this. So it's saved now, and I want to test it. Okay, so let's go here and perform the starting action to trigger. So we are going to click test, and I want to select a file. So let's go here and choose maybe this one. So let's go here. We have got the file, and I'm going to click run flow. Okay, so the flow has run successfully. Now let's go to the flow running page, and here we can see the flow was triggered successfully, and we have got all these green ticks. Okay, so it has taken up the file from here, and then it has called up this our AI model, and then we get the output in here. So here we can see it has got green, it found green tea mint, and that's the score. And it also found in that image green tea rose, that's the score. And then it has found here in this one green tea cinnamon, and then that's the score for that. So that's how you can add that AI builder model in your workflows. If you want to add that, you could also use it in your Power App. So let's say that you have got a Power Apps application that you have created where user maybe uploads some images or something, and then you want to find out what's in that image. So you could do that with this. You can just go to Power App, build the Power App, and add this AI model, and then you'll be able to use it. So those are some of the different ways that you have got to use that AI builder model that we have created in your application. So that was our module 3. Let's look at then the knowledge check. So here's the question. What do you need to do before you can use a pre-built model? And the option you have are gather the data, train the model, publish the model, or nothing. And the correct answer is nothing, because these are pre-built model where you do not really need to do anything. The model is already built for you. You can just start using it from that model. You don't have to do any kind of a training or publish the model or anything like that. It's all done for you, and you can just start using it. Okay, so that was our module 3. In this module, we learned about what AI Builder is and also how we can create and use the models in the AI Builder. And now we are going to take 10 minutes break, and I'll see you everyone back here in 10 minutes for our final module, which is automate processes with robotic process automation and Power Desktop Automate. Okay, that was our module 3, everyone. In this module, we learned about what is an AI builder, how we can create models, and how we can use those models. We will now take a 10 minutes break. See you everyone back here in 10 minutes for our next module, automate processes with robotic process automation and Power Desktop Automate. Where we will learn about how we can automate processes with robotic process automation and Power Automate Desktop. So let's get started with our module 4. So first thing we are going to learn here is how we can build desktop flows. You might be spending a lot of time doing a repetitive task in your day-to-day job. So that can decrease your productivity and it can create a less engaging work environment for you. The robotic process automation, or RPA, it allows you to outsource those tasks to user-friendly software. So that's going to free up your time for more important or creative type of endeavors. So Microsoft Power Automate, it allows you to build that automation from start to finish by using the Power Automate desktop flows. Building desktop flows is the first step in designing your robotic process automation solution. And here we are going to learn about Power Automate desktop flows. We'll see how we can create a new desktop flow. We will record the actions that are performed in the desktop-based application. And then we are going to perform a test run of the new desktop flow that we create. So first of all, we need to set up the environment. Now, creating and running automation systems in Power Automate requires you to have access to make changes to the environments in your tenant and to have the appropriate licenses and permissions. Now, if you don't already have admin access to a valid tenant, you might want to start a free trial and then try with that. So in addition, you will need a Power Automate user plan with attended RPA license to complete this module here. You can sign up for a free trial if you already don't have this license. So first of all, we start by creating a trial environment with the database. So after you have successfully signed into a valid tenant, you have to go to Microsoft Power Platform Admin Center. and you will need to create your trial environment with database in there. You can select the environments and then select your automatically created environment, which is a demoed environment, or create a new one. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to go to my browser here, and in the browser I am at admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com. So let me zoom in, and you can see here, this is where you need to go to, and then you have got your environments listed here. So this is my default, and then you can also create trial like how I have created. So to create a new one, you can go here, and then you can create new and create a new environment. Now I have already got one, so I'm going to go in that environment, and you can create a trial one or a production one. It depends on what you're doing. And here, when you scroll down, you'll see this option here, which is add database. So you want to go there and you want to add this database here. Okay, so you select your language, you select your currency, and then if you want to restrict the access to people in the security group, you can restrict that. Otherwise, everyone will be able to access. And then I want to click add to be able to create that environment. So my environment is ready, and we have got our environment, we have got our database. By clicking the add database, I've added the database. Okay, so we are set up with the environment. Now next, what we want to do is we need to have Power Automate Desktop. So here we need to first make sure we have got the Power Automate Desktop software installed on your computer, and then there will be steps that you need to do to use that Power Automate Desktop. Now to install the Power Automate Desktop, what you can do is you can go back to your Power Automate. So let me go back to my browser, and then I'm going to go to my Power Automate main flow here, which is my home page, and then I'll click my flows, and in the my flows you'll have this install button here. So I want to click this install, and then you can see here Power Automate Desktop. Use desktop flows to automate actions and business processes on your desktop environment. So you want to click this and you want to download that Power Automate Desktop, and then you want to install it. Okay, so there are some steps that you are going to go through. So once you have got the package, this is going to bring you here like this. So an installation package, then you have to click next, and once you click next, you have got this option here to select your installation details. So you choose where you want to install it, and your package includes the Microsoft Edge WebDriver and the Chrome driver, and it will create a shortcut. And to run your desktop flows in unattended mode, you need to allow remote connections on this computer so that it can run in unattended mode. And if you want to let Microsoft collect the data for usage, you can tick that, and then you have to select agree to the terms of use, and then click install so that you can install it. And once your installation is successful, it will give you this message that you're good to go. Install Power Automate extension. So what this is doing is it's adding an extension in your browser. So like Google, if you're using Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, then it's going to add that extension in that. And then you can launch your Power Automate Desktop in here with these steps. Now once you have Power Automate installed, there will be different components installed. So you'll have the Power Automate Desktop, and you also have this another exe which allows you to do that unattended run of your desktop flows there. Now for the demo that I'm going to show you here, I am going to use an application, because this is one of the major benefits of desktop flows, which is the ability to perform actions on your desktop applications. So for the flow that I'm going to create in the demo, I'll use this one application, which is invoicing application like this, and then we'll explore the concepts and the actions which are available to you in that desktop flow there. So let's look at the demo of how we can create the Power Automate desktop flow first. All right, so let's see how we can create our Power Automate desktop flow. So for that, what you need is you need Power Automate desktop application, which you can install from the browser. So you can download and install it. It's free. And then I want to create a new flow. So here I'm going to go to new flow, and then I need to make sure I give it a name. Okay, so let's call this, I have got a invoicing application that I use, so I'm going to make use of that. So let's call this invoicing application, and then I'm going to click create. So we have got our desktop flow created. We are calling it invoicing application. And on the side here, you can see we have got different actions that we can add from. So there are lots of different actions available that we could pick from here. And then you have got your flows, the main content of your flow. Here you have got the variables. So input, output variables, flow variables, and then you have got these different UI elements that you can look for. You've got your images, so you can see all these things in here. Now the first step we want to do is in the desktop flow, you want to have an app, because why you are creating this desktop flow is you want to automate the process that you are regularly doing, and that probably might be using some kind of an application. So you want to automate that. So for that, I want to run an application. So I want to go here and I want to say run application, and then I want to make sure that I have got the right path of my application there. So for that, what I want to do is just choose this path. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to search for that location, and this is my application here. So I want to choose that, and then I'm going to click open. So now I know that this is the application that I want to use, and if I want to add any command line arguments or maybe any working folder or anything like that, I can change that. Otherwise, I'm just going to click save. Okay, so now we have got that application set up in here. The next step that we want to do is we want to start recording. Okay, so next step is to run that application and perform the steps that we usually perform. So here you can see I have got this desktop recorder. So I want to click on that, and that is going to start my desktop recorder here. And then I have to also make sure that I have got my Contoso invoicing application also running. So I need to get my application, and this is my Contoso application here. So let me adjust these windows so you can see both side by side. So here I have got my application, and then I have got my desktop recorder. So I'm going to perform certain steps in the application, and it is going to then record this. So for that, I need to first hit this record button, and then I'm going to click new in here, and then I'm going to start adding the value. So let's give it a name. Actually, I don't want this. I want to go in invoices. So I'm just going to delete these, and I want to pause that. I want to make sure that I'm in invoices, and I'm going to start recording. Go to invoices, and then I want to say new. And then here I want to change the state to something. So let's say some random date we'll add. We need the account and the contacts. So I know it's let's just give this one. That's my demo account that I use. Okay, so I want that, and then I'm going to click this, and I'm going to say select this one, and then I want to click save. Okay, so I've done all the actions that I would typically do to add this invoice record. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to say finish. So this will open up the desktop app again, and you can see that we have got all these different steps that have been added. in here. So let's go now. We can also test this if we want. So we can click this run here and we will be able to test this one. So let's run it. And then it actually brings up the thing, and you can see here it's doing all these actions and then saves, and that's that. Okay, so the flow is working. So sample flow we have created to add the invoice record, so that bit is now working. Now let's say that we want to edit, and we want to maybe add some input variables or something, or maybe make changes to this particular flow. So we can do all those things as well. If you want to delete anything, then we can delete stuff as well. So if I go here and if I click these three dots, ellipsis, I can say edit, and I can edit that particular step. Okay, so if I want to make any change in here, so let's say maybe I want to edit this one, and I can go here and I can edit this and maybe change these values or something like that. But so for now, what we have is we have got a flow that we created. We recorded from one of our desktop applications. We have got all the required steps, and we are also able to test it. Okay, so that's how you are going to create that flow that you have got, which is from the desktop, which is like running an application and then letting it run automatically. So instead of you doing it, the flow does those things for you. Now that we know how we can create our Power Automate desktop flow, we need to define input and output parameters in the Power Automate. So we will create a desktop flow with predefined inputs, and then we are going to record actions that are performed in the desktop based Contoso invoicing application by using the inputs and then capturing the application data for the output. And then we are going to perform a test run of that new desktop flow with a new set of inputs there. So let's get started with defining input and output parameters in Power Automate. Okay, so we saw how we can create the desktop flow from Power Automate desktop. Now what we want to do is we want to input some parameters and output some parameters. Okay, so we want to add these input output parameters to our flow. So here we have got all the steps that we need, but then we want to be able to add some input. So if you see here, we have got this input and output variables. So I can click on this plus button here, and then I can bring up this option. Now your variable type could be input or output, and then you give your variable a name, and then you have to choose the data type and also the default value if you want. And then you have got this external name. So this external name is used outside of the desktop flow, and the description field will give you more information about that particular variable. Okay, so let's add. So I'm going to add here amount. So that's one variable I want to create. I'm going to keep it text, and I'm going to say default value is maybe 500, and let's give here amount, and then we have got the description. So this is my invoice amount, and I create this variable. So one variable is done. Now I want to add more variables in here, so two more maybe. So here this plus icon, I can click this one. So I'm going to click that and then choose input again, because I'm going to add another input variable. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say contact, and then keep it text, and I can give a default value. So that's the name I have been using. So let's go with that. And the external name for this is going to be contact email, and then I'm going to give some description. So that's contact email, and then I'm going to click create. Okay, and one more variable. So I'm going to go here, click add, click that input, and then let's go here and let's call this account. Again text, and the default value is going to be Wingtip Toys. And we'll call it account name. And then we'll say name of the account being invoiced. Okay, so we create that. So we have got our variables. Now we just want to save this thing. So once we have got this saved, I'm gonna add these variables. So let's go. Okay, so we are going to now use these variables in the steps that we have created here. So for example, this is our account name. So I'm going to click edit here, and then I want to remove this, and I want to pick up account. Okay, so select that and click select. So that's going to save and save that. So now instead of hard coding the value, what I have done, I have got that variable. So I could input that variable from there. I want to change this one as well. So contact email. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to remove that. I'm going to say contact and select and save that in there. Okay, so this is how I can actually add these variables. So those are our input variables that we have added. Now what we want to have an output variable created. So we've saved that. So let's now define one output variable in this one. So I am going to click that same plus icon here, but now we will select this output. So let's select that. And then what do we want to output? So let's say that we want to get the invoice ID. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to say invoice ID. By desktop flow. Okay, so let's do that. And let's click create. Okay, so now we have got this output variable. So this output variable, we want to get that from the application that we were using. So let's first save this. So here it is saved. Now what I want to do is get the output from UI element. So for that, what I am going to do is scroll down here. Let me minimize this. I'm going to scroll down here. I have got the data extraction. So now I'm going to get this one, which is, let me actually show you what that is here. So get details of a UI element in window. So that's the one I want. So let me just see if this can be minimized. Nope. So let's go back here and I want that. Okay. So I want that here. And then we need to add a UI element. Okay. So I need to click that. So this is my invoicing app here, and I have got a tracking session window open on my another screen. So let's drag it here. So now we want to add an element from this. So I want to select this one. So you can see I have got these text in here. Then you can add that, and then you can click save. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are getting the value from that output variable, which we can then use in the flow. And now we look at how we can optimize your business process with the process advisor. So we have already created the demo where we have got the desktop flow, we have got the input and output there. So let's look at how we can optimize your business process with process advisor. So with the process advisor, the most important thing is a lot of organizations, their goal is efficiency. Okay, so efficiency is the goal of all organizations. Now the goal is to complete a process in a faster and a simpler way with the same or better results. However, knowing where to begin when you're automating process, it can be difficult. So even if you know the capabilities of specific technology like Microsoft Power Automate, defining a process, it can be difficult. Now, including knowing which activities are most useful or simplest to automate. Now, the process advisor capability in Power Automate, it helps make that task easier by providing a service that observes your action and then documents the process for you. Additionally, the process advisor defines bottlenecks and then recommends automation solutions within a specific technology. So, process advisor works through Power Automate to record your actions on your desktop to map your process. Then it will map your process and provide insights on the actions that take too long or have got too many variations. And then it will give you automation recommendations. Now, with Process Advisor, you can share your process with others in your company to gather more insights by capturing recordings of multiple people who are performing the same process. So, this approach, it helps you to then understand how they differ and where the bottleneck exists. So, Process Advisor maps your process and then begins the automation to help simplify your business processes and increase your efficiency. So Process Advisor, it is built on the features and capabilities of Microsoft Power Platform to help you generate insights. Now, Microsoft Power Automate Desktop, it allows you to record these actions that you perform on your computer with but maybe you want to use the Dataverse. So while Microsoft Dataverse, it stores the information from your processes. Now, as a result, you will need to have access to these technologies from licensing and security perspective to take advantage of the process advisor. Now, if the process advisor isn't listed when you go to the Power Automate, you need to talk to your administrator then about getting permissions to access this process advisor. You can access Process Advisor through Power Automate by selecting the Process Advisor and by clicking Create. So let me show you that. So I'm going to go to my browser. And if I scroll down here, you can see I have got Process Advisor. So I'm just going to click here and then expand. And then we have got this option Create. So now here you can see it says optimize your business processes, and you can build a process. So you can create a new process. So set up a process and then you can share it with other people, and then you can add a recording here, and then you can learn about your processes. So you can download the Power Automate desktop and use it. There are some courses available on MS Learn on how you can do this as well. You can analyze the process and then how you can prepare your recording and then what automation recommendations. So you can see all these courses as well in here. So this is where you can go to access that process advisor. So let's now look at how we can optimize the business process with Process Advisor through this demo. Okay, so now let's see how we can optimize the business process with Process Advisor. So for that, we need to come to our Power Automate portal. And if we scroll down in the menu, we have got Process Advisor here. So I'm going to click that, and then I am going to click Create. So this will bring us to this page, optimize your business processes. So you can build a process and then you can add a recording to your new process, and you can also learn about your processes in here. So let's start by building. So I'm going to click create a new process here, and I'm going to give it a name. Let's call this invoicing process. Okay, and click create. And then it will bring up this window where it says This process has been created. Now we need to add a recording in here. So I'm going to click add recording, and let's close this stuff. So here now it's bringing in this option where it says, do you want to open this other application? Now the other application that you are going to open is basically Power Automate. Okay, so let me close this, and I'm going to minimize this, and we'll have the Power Automate window which popped up on another screen. So we have got this desktop recorder that has come up. Now here I want to then start recording my process. Okay, it's the one which I want to optimize. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click record, and then I'm going to open up my invoicing application, and then here click on invoice, then I want to click on new, and then give some date, and then here we have got the account name. So let's do the same thing again. So Wingtip Toys, and then I want to add here the contacts, wingtiptoys.com, and I add the amount. So let's do 500, and we have got this invoiced. Okay, so we've got that, and then I want to click save. Okay, so that's one step that I have done. And then maybe I want to just look at closing this, and then I want to look at accounts in here. Okay, and I can add account, I can look at these different accounts in here. So I'm just doing some steps here so that it'll record, because we're going to need that in that process so that we can analyze it. So we have got some stuff in here. So let's go and click finish. So we have got our recording, and this is going to save the recording. So it has popped up on another screen. So here it's saving the recording to Power Automate. Once the recording is saved, we'll see how we can analyze. So it's saved. We can say got it, then minimize that one and open up our browser. Let's close this one, and we can go to our processes. So this is the one that we created just now. So I'm going to go in there, and then you can see that there is one recording. Okay, now here it says it's in progress. So we need to wait, and we have to wait till it becomes not analyzed. Let's refresh the page and see if it is now turned analyzed, not analyzed. Okay, so you can see here it says not analyzed. So we want to analyze this. So let's go to see all recordings, and then here we have got this recording, and then you can see here that we have got all these different activities. Now I want to add activities in here. Okay, so let me click here, and I'm gonna say I want to add an activity, add a name. So I'm gonna say save invoice info. Let's do that. And then here I am going to accounts. So here I'm gonna add another one, and I'm gonna say check accounts. And then here before this I want to add another activity. I'm going to say open invoicing app, and then I'm going to say here I'll add another one, and I'm going to say enter invoicing info. Okay, so we need to at least have 2 of these, but we have got enough. Now these activities that we recorded, we could actually modify these. Like when you select on this particular activity, it shows you the screenshots in here. Now if you want to remove, because sometimes it may happen that you might have some sensitive data or sensitive information or sensitive screenshot, so you do not want that to appear. So in that scenario you could delete the screenshot, and deleting the screenshot doesn't really impact anything in here. but it's just from security perspective, maybe there is a need that you want to remove that screenshot, so you could say delete screenshot, and that's perfectly fine. Your analysis is not going to be impacted if you delete this screenshot. Okay, so if you want, delete that, and then you just click close once you have done that. So now we have got these activities, they are into different groups that we have created, and then we can click ready to analyze. Okay, and then I want to click save here. Okay, so this is now saved, so let's do that again just to make sure. So this is now saved, and then I am going to click close. This is still not analyzed, so I'm gonna go here, and then we want to go to analyze. Okay, so I'm gonna click analyze here, and it says only recordings that have been switched to ready to analyze will be included, but now our recording is not yet switched to not ready to analyze. So let's wait, and we can go in here, and we can see we have turned it on, and then go back here again, and then we can analyze and then confirm. So the analysis is happening. We can see it here, process analysis status, which is now complete. And if you come down here, it shows that this has been analyzed. Okay, so next, now what I want to do here is I want to go to analytics. So analysis is done. Now it's going to give you these analytics about your process. So we want to see that. Okay, so what we are seeing here is the analytics of that process. So first of all, what we see is we see this process map, and let me zoom out a little bit. So here you can see now I have got this process map. Now this process map is going to show you information about your process. So it shows you the activities. So activities are broken down into order. It also shows the average amount of time for each activity, and then variations in the process. And it shows that if there are multiple recording, then it's going to show those multiple recordings as well. And typically when you are doing this process optimization, you want to have multiple recordings so that you get the better optimization for your process there. Okay, and then here we can also see the number of recordings, the average time, the process variance that we have got, and then we have got variance by frequency, and then we have got variance by time as well. So you can select the variant to filter as well. So if you select a particular variant, then it will filter those activities on that. So you can see activity by average time in seconds and recording by time in seconds for your activity in here. And then you can also go to application preview, and then you will be able to see the details about that. Now because I just have one variant, it's just showing me everything, but when you have got multiple recordings, it's going to show you here different options in there. Then we can go to this application preview. So here it's showing you one app is used. Now sometimes in your processes you might be using multiple apps, so it's going to show you here the multiple apps and how many times it was accessed, and then how much time was spent, what are the actions that were performed, and then your application usage when you were switching between applications. So now I don't have anything because I was just using one application, but you might have multiple, like you might be using multiple applications. Then if you're switching between the application, then it will show you information about that, and then it's going to also show you time spent by application. So per application how much time you are spending, and then what are the actions being done in that application there. Okay, so this is how you can actually create your process, and then you can analyze it with this process advisor. So you can see the optimizations that it is showing you. There will be recommendations on that report that we saw, so you can make use of that to optimize your process with Power Automate. So that was the demo of how we can optimize our processes with Process Advisor. Now let's do a little knowledge check here. And the question is, what indications do you have that your actions are recording appropriately? A red outline will show before you make a selection and a blue highlight will show afterward. Second option is a red recording button will be visible on the screen. Third option you have is a pop-up window will indicate that the recording has started. And fourth option is Power Automate Desktop will minimize so that you can see your whole screen. And the correct answer is a red outline will show before you make the selection and a blue highlight will show afterward. So this concludes the Microsoft Power Platform Virtual Training Day Automate Business Processes event. So let's recap all the content that you have seen. So we started this course with introduction